A couple of days ago, I was doing some chores for helping out my mum, and she asked me to lift these fucking boxes, and they were, sort of heavy, but more just awkward, probably like 40 kilos. Nothing crazy, but you still probably gotta lift it, right? And she was, rather concerned about me lifting it on my own. And I'm like, you can't, how guys, you give it a bit of a pre-lift, you kind of figure out how heavy it is. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's well within my capabilities. So I lifted up, there's a couple of boxes. I lift it up, move it to wherever it needs to go. And she just seemed really surprised at how easily I did it, and with, good form. Because it was essentially just a deadlift, plus a bit of walking. And, I can very easily deadlift, 120, 140. I think my deadlift PR is sitting somewhere around 140, 150 kilos. So, 315, I think 140 is 315 pounds. So, 315, between 315 and 340, somewhere around there. And so picking up, these boxes is pretty easy. And she said to me when I got back inside from being done, it was like, she was surprised how strong I was. And I was like, oh, well, that's just, deadlifts in the gym. And, we're an active family. My parents played sports at a very high level, and so me and my sister. And, being physically fit and active has been a cornerstone of our family and our lifestyle. And I'm extremely grateful for that. But she doesn't really understand much about, gym and, lifting in detail. And so, I said, just deadlifts. I do it, once, twice a week. She said, I thought that was for meatheads. And it kind of made me think, that comment kind of made me think, if an active person, such as my mother, doesn't know that deadlifts are probably the most functional thing you do in the gym and can be genuinely useful in just being able to pick things up safely and easily, how much more, what else, other valuable information that she is missing out on or not taking advantage of simply because she doesn't know. And, I was thinking on the car ride home from the gym after doing my deadlifts, and I was like, how many people in general, overweight people, unfit people, people who are doing bad habits, just don't know any better? They might not be actually actively choosing to do the wrong thing. They just don't know what the right thing is. We're on self-improvement, and we're aware of what the right and wrong things are to do. We know, it's looking after your health and your mind and making money and all that stuff. But there's so many people out there that don't know that, and that don't understand. They might know, you got to be active to lose weight, but what does being active look like? Going for a walk might not be enough, and all this kind of stuff. And I feel like a lot of the lack of discipline and just general bad habits that a lot of people have is just from a lack of education and a lack of knowledge, not necessarily from being actively choosing bad habits. Because why would you? If you knew exactly what it took to get to, a dream physique or, all the money in the world, you would do it. Like if you were step by step and all you had to do was just do it, you would. Because why would you not? It just makes sense. But if you don't know what to do to get that dream physique or to make 10K, 100K a month, then it's going to be so much harder for you to justify doing it. Now we know that, you got to do the hard work and there's going to be times of uncertainty and all that stuff. But a lot of people won't start or don't know how to start, so they won't. And they spend time just doing the things they think is right and they think is in their best interest, simply because they don't know better. And so I think, people who are aware need to probably not necessarily cut those people slack, but maybe just view from a different perspective what and why, and the fact that they probably aren't actively being lazy. And now there is going to be people who are being actively lazy and do know better but refuse to do it. And those people, there's no saving. Fuck them. But a large population would do better if they knew better. And that's why I titled it the way I did. And I think Chris Williamson or someone said that too. People would do better if they knew better. So it's on us, me and you, self-improvement. We know what to do. We know how to do it, to educate these people who don't and to help them understand, how and why, and, whether they actually choose it, that's out of our power, but giving them the knowledge and educating. And that's why I make content, to actually educate people who may have a general idea, but, want more information on, everything. Fitness, looking after your mental health, all that kind of stuff. So, if you are, on your self-improvement journey and you see people around you, close friends, whatever, who aren't doing the right things, maybe instead of convincing them to do the right things, educate them and let them know. And when they do ask questions, kind of justify why, rather than just telling them, oh yeah, you should do it, it's really good for you. Why? I do deadlifts in the gym to help my, lower back stability, general strength, and to be able to safely lift objects outside of the gym. It's about education, and it'll be extremely valuable, and that's how you become a valuable educator, providing value and justifying why you do something and why someone else should do something. Anyways, that's about it. That's about all I've got for today. Fucking fly. If you're still here at the end of the video, I love you, and remember, life is what you make it.